Councilman Reyna, would you please lead us in an invocation?
Special intentions, sir?
I do. Councilman Carroll?
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the family of longtime Kenner employee, Mr. Andrew Ives, worked for the Public Works, is deceased, and we ask these prayers for him and his family. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman DeFrances?
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. In fact, I was just going to mention it, so I'm so glad you did. I went to the service for Mr. Ives. Also, I would like to ask prayers for Charlie Goodwin, who was a dispatcher with our police department, and please keep him and his family in our prayers as well.
Councilman Segura? Oh, I turned you on, you turned you off.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I have a quick special intention for prayers for one of our employees, council clerk Natalie's grandson, born 3 months ago, who had to have some very major surgery today, even though he's doing well, but we want to continue in his prayers so he heals properly and has a full life. Thank you.
And I'd like to include in our prayers the Jorger family, gentleman named Mike Jorger, who's a longtime dad and coach at Mus Bertolino Playground, father of Michael, Chris, and Sean Jorger, all of which played in Mus Bertolino and the Kenner All-Star system and were formerly coached by Mr. Jose Gonzalez and myself, Mike, who passed away in early death this week. Please keep them in your prayers. Councilman Reyna?
Let us bow our heads and remember that we are in the presence of the Lord. O Lord, you are the light that guides our feet. You are the map that gives us direction. You are the peace that makes us strong. You are the leader whom we faithfully follow. May your light illuminate our life and your guidance bring direction. May we find inspiration in your word and peace in our hearts as we follow you. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Councilman Klein, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk?
Do you want to? Okay. Mr. Chairman, this evening you have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Under the consent agenda this evening, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of February 18, 2016. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. We have none. Item 4 is correspondence from reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. We have none. Item 5 is acceptance rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 6 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 7 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 8 is re-subdivision ordinances for final passage. Item 8A is summary ordinance number 11,996. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of lots 2 and 3, square 26, into lot 2A, Hanson City subdivision, and approving the placement of manufactured single-family dwelling on new lot 2A, Hanson City subdivision. Item 8B is summary ordinance number 11,997. An ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of east half of 9B and lot C1, LMN1 into PQRSTU, a portion of lot V and the portions of road adjacent to lot C1, LMN1 into PQRSTUV into lot 1, Oakland Plantation subdivision. That will conclude your consent agenda this evening, sir.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman DeFrances to approve the consent agenda. Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Under the public appearance agenda this evening, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,990, an ordinance amending Chapter 5 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Kenner, Louisiana, to enact Article 6, problematic properties relative to prohibiting problematic properties and providing penalties for the violation thereof and providing for related matters.
Madam Clerk, I've received a request from Councilman Klein for deferral. Councilman, do you wish to move for a deferral? Yes. Okay. So moved by Councilman Klein. Do we have a second on the deferral? Yes. Motion by Councilman Klein, seconded by Councilman Brennan for deferral. Any discussion, Councilman? Seeing none, Councilman, please vote on the deferral.
Mr. Chairman, could we please clarify, would it be a one-meeting deferral?
One meeting deferral, Councilman? Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Please vote. Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, Madam.
Item 9B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,995, an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of lots 31B and 35A, square 159, into lot 31B1, Kenner Heights subdivision, and further approving a planned unit development on lot 31B1, square 159, Kenner Heights subdivision for an office and warehouse development for the storage of recreational facility vehicles.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Brennan. Do we have a presentation?
Yes, if we could, please open your hearing real quick.
Sure. Motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Brennan to open public hearing. Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0 to open your hearing.
Mr. Hebert, you wish to begin your presentation?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Council President. The property fronts 18th Street and is bounded by Canal Number 5 to the north, Oxley Street to the east, and Maria Street to the west. The property is zoned R1P, Planned Unit Development. The applicant is requesting to re-subdivide the two lots into one lot of record in order to accommodate the development of a warehouse. The proposed lot will consist of 12,000 square feet and front along 18th Street. The proposed re-subdivision has been determined to meet the criteria of a simple re-subdivision. The planned unit development includes the new construction of a 5,376 square foot warehouse and office building on new lot 35B1. Vehicular access to the site will be from 18th Street. The site will utilize standard city trash pickup. The proposed site plan meets the minimum off-street parking requirements as well as the required building setbacks and landscaping regulations of the comprehensive zoning ordinance. The warehouse will be made of a prefabricated metal along with a galvanized ribbed metal roof. The proposed warehouse stands 22 feet in height. It falls below the maximum permitted height limit of the district. Existing utilities are in the area to service the site. The proposed development is consistent with the pattern of progress future land use plan, which is being conducive for commercial use. And on January 27th, the Planning Commission recommended approval.
Thank you, Mr. Hebert. At this time, we are in the public appearance part of the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the council from the public on this matter, please come forward and address the council. Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Brennan to close public hearing. Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0.
I have a motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Brennan on the ordinance. Councilman Carroll, do you wish to have the floor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, this is in Mayor Segura's district, and if there's some information that he may want to share with the District 2 residents as it relates to this property, you know, I think it would be appropriate just to say something on this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Yes, this piece of property is in my district, and the owner of the property and I have spoken about this project, and I believe it's a very good project for the area. It's something that's going to be badly needed for the city in the future, and so I do encourage your passing this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Klein, you have the floor.
You know, as citizens of Kenner, council members, entire administration, we want to attract families, new families to the city of Kenner. And I think one way to do it is to have a sports academy. You know, if you put your pencil to the paper, Kenner doesn't have
Councilman
high-
Klein, if I may interrupt you, we're on item 9B. You may want to reserve those comments for later.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong one.
That's all right.
Okay.
I mean, if you wish to address 9B, please feel free.
No, that's fine.
Councilman DeFrangias, you have the floor.
I'm not in line. Let me try again. Oh, I'm in line again. Mr. Abear, is this not part of the buyout property that we, that we had worked together with the airport to try to bring it back into commerce?
No, ma'am. This is privately owned.
That's what I want to make sure that people understand, because a lot of properties were sold, but this is not part of that buyout that was sold recently with New Orleans. We have private owners who are bringing commerce back to the city of Kenner. There was some question, the reason I asked the question, someone had asked me about it, and they weren't sure exactly, who had owned it and when. So I thought we needed to put it on the record. This is really one of those many projects when when the city works to bring commerce back in, that we're very successful in doing so. And I thank Councilman Segura and now Acting Mayor Segura, because it's in his district. And I want to thank you, because I know you worked very hard on this as well. So I wanted to give the credit where the credit was due to both of you. Thank you.
Seeing no other discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A, summary ordinance number 11,991, an ordinance designating Butch Dewey Playground as a sports academy in accordance with the provisions of ordinance number 10,887 and providing for related matters.
Motion by Councilman Impastato, seconded by Councilman DeFrances. At this time, do we have a presentation, Mr. Maricoli? No? Okay. At this time, I would ask Councilman, if you'll allow me this liberty, I'd ask that the public comment be made at this time. If there's anyone here wishing to address the council on item 12A regarding Butch Dewey Playground, please come forward. We'd welcome your input concerning this matter. Seeing no one wishing to address the council, I'll defer my comments to closing. Councilman DeFrances, you have the floor.
First of all, I want to thank Mr. Maricoli. I asked him to please give me an actual list of names of those children from Butch Dewey that were playing at other playgrounds, because there was a lot of controversy as to whether or not the numbers we had given to the public were correct. And I can assure you, I went through every single name, I verified it, and those numbers are correct. We only had 22 children total. Some were duplicates, but if you eliminated the duplicates, we had only 22 children from Butch Dewey that were playing at other playgrounds. 22 children were not sufficient to justify keeping our playgrounds open, especially when you understand that there was one child in a 7 to 8-year-old group, 2 children in another group, 5 children in another group. So you could never have an entire team, whether it was basketball or baseball or football. In no way did we have enough children to form an entire team. So what I did was I talked to some of the people directly, and I explained to them that their children are not going to be ignored. Their children will be considered. We don't have the justification for keeping it open as a regular playground, but those children are so important that I can assure you that not just myself, but all of the council members, I will ask them to please join with me in making sure that those children are well taken care of at other playgrounds, that they're included, that they're not just going to be sitting on the bench, but included and being an integral part of whichever playground they choose to choose as their home playground. In addition to that, if for any reason certain children pick a playground and as soon as they go to that playground they feel uncomfortable, I know, Mr. Maricoli, you and I will work, as well as other council members, to find a playground where those children can go. So we are going to keep on top of this. We are going to make sure that those children are not just numbers, but human beings that need to be, taken care of, that we need to make sure that they're comfortable and happy and that they are truly involved in sports. And I want to thank Councilman Impastato, because he, I know, is the leading force, shall we say, behind this effort, but he too cares about those children. These are not just numbers to him or to any other council member up here. And so as we move forward with this particular project, Butch Dewey will never be forgotten. Their children will never be forgotten.
Thank you, Councilman. Butch, as many people are aware, District 2 is the district within which Butch Dewey exists, and Councilman Segura, who's serving as acting mayor, would like to address the council.
Thank you, Councilman Spy. Yes, first, this is unfortunately something that is somewhat disheartening to me to have to see this happen with Butch Dewey. As a parent that raised my son through what I call the glory days of Butch Dewey, when there was just hundreds of people out there daily with kids playing all sports and all the families spending their nights and weekends out there, to now see the numbers that it has dwindled down to, and obviously I certainly thank you, Councilman Espostada, Public Recreation Director Kim Maricoli, and our CAO Mike Quigley, who worked on these collection of data to present this. Came to me early and presented these facts to me, and had a conversation, a very frank conversation about this, and seeing those numbers that had dropped down so drastically to where it's just really unreasonable to believe that we were paying to have a facility support that small number, then became a concern that as a councilman, something that needed to be looked at to be addressed. So the direction that it's gone, where y'all have, Mr. Maricoli and y'all have agreed to make this sports academy run by the Recreation Department, certainly to me leads to a different improvement, a better improvement, to allow the facility to still be used for a sports arena and all sports, but have more probable participation there at that playground where the interest is today, and that is the travel teams. And I really believe that the use of that will be better used for this sports academy concept, and that, as Councilwoman DeFrances said, we do not intend to leave behind any of the remaining kids in the Butch Dewey area that still want to play sports. They will still be allowed and definitely encouraged, but unfortunately at a different playground where there will be other kids of their age brackets to participate and have a full team to participate with. That's what was one of the glaring numbers that showed up during y'all's investigation and gathering of facts, was that whereas there may have been down to as low as 30-something kids registering to play at the Butch Dewey, that after their early years, they would have to be moved to another playground because there was just not enough kids in those older brackets to field a whole team. And they did go to these other playgrounds to play. So I do reluctantly say I agree with this process, and am thankful for y'all bringing us to the public's attention that we needed to address this with this playground to keep it a viable playground. And the other side of the coin is that it can always go back to where it was if the demographics change. We are doing some things, obviously citywide, to encourage more families to move into this portion of Kenner that, as I said, many years ago had hundreds of kids out there, but the demographics has moved on and moved more North Kenner. If we are successful in our future plans to draw families back to this area where they will bring their kids, we will still have that gym there to service that need and can easily do so. So again, thank y'all for your work in bringing this, and I do encourage its passage. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Klein, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo some of the thoughts of Mayor Segura, that this playground for a while now has been underutilized. And I think by putting a sports academy there, it can be more fully utilized. And I believe that the city of Kenner, the mayor's office, the administration, the council members, and everyone else would like new families to move to Kenner. And this is one of the important aspects of the present sports situation, is sports academies. People like to send their children there. And the city of Kenner has 11 playgrounds. And the children will not be forgotten. They can play at other playgrounds. And oftentimes, if Butch Dewey would field a team. They wouldn't have enough members on the team to make a full team. They'd have to go to a different playground anyway. So I think this is the best-case scenario for everyone, for the kids, for the parents, for the city, and for everyone to have a sports academy. We will no longer have to go, or our children will no longer have to go to Metairie, to Elmwood area for a sports academy. They'll have a sports academy right here in the city of Kenner. So I think that's good for the city and for everyone, and it will be more fully utilized, which I think is important because it's a big playground, and to only have 22 or so children playing there is not efficient use of the property. So for those reasons, I certainly would ask my fellow council members to support this ordinance.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. And, first I'd like to thank Mr. Maricoli, Councilman, for all the work that we have done in administration for doing this. It's just one of these things that, I think it as a sports academy will be productive. It will be beneficial to the baseball element of the playground. And I think that is always a plus as long as the children are always benefiting from it. This is just one of those things as myself and all of us I used to have children play on the playground, and some of us still do. One of the things that I believe that it could have been something, a combination or a partnership of both, as opposed to solely going to the academy. We will look at the results after tonight and in the future and see exactly. But today, I'm in the position that maybe we should have given it a little bit more time. Not saying that anybody did anything wrong or doing anything not productive for their children, because they will be able to play. I guess, maybe a little old school. I still, the camaraderie that a lot of the children feel by having their individual playground that they play at, to me, as a former athlete myself, that is important. And I believe that is something that we miss. Will we be able to go back to the original Butch Dewey if the population changes or if the additional people come back? Yes, we will be able to do that. And I pray that that happens. But, sometimes when things stop or cease to exist the way they were, it takes time and it takes away from it, in my opinion. So that being said, why I believe that it will be productive for a certain element from sports, the children will be able to go other places to play. I am still convinced that the people that I have spoken with, a lot of the families, still have that camaraderie, that feeling that it is something special to be a participant at the Butch Dewey Playground. And quite frankly, before I close, a lot of these individuals had supported the District 1 when there was something similar going on, and I would be a little bit hypocritical not to support them now. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you for your comments. Councilman Reno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Maricoli, Westgate was incorporated into Butch Dewey? And so even with Westgate and Butch Dewey, the field has only been about 22 children.
At this time. What happened was when we did incorporate it, we saw a small spike in the numbers for a short period of time, and then it again dwindled down to what we have now, which is, as Councilwoman DeFrancis said, around 22. And the reason why we say 31 or 43 in the numbers that we presented is because we were counting the duplicates and the kids that played multiple sports. So I don't want to mislead anybody saying that, the numbers have since dwindled. It's just that we counted as duplicate every child that plays. So that's why that's the case. But yes, that is a fact.
Yeah, I just wanted the public to know that, we did incorporate Westgate into that, because they were using that facility. So when you look at that whole big picture, also the fact that we have all that airport buyout property, that noise abatement
Correct.
property, which actually took a lot of residents away from the area that Butch Dewey serves.
Right, over 400 families, since the airport buyout property. So that was a big factor in those numbers and the way that, this progressed to this point.
Well, thank you for all your hard work and the administration and Councilmember Impostata. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilman Brennan, you have the floor.
One quick question, Mr. Maricoli, I'm sorry. In addition to that number, wasn't it discussed at the meeting that some of those children that were playing, they were not Butch Dewey neighborhood
Correct.
residents? Okay.
Correct. Out of the number we had for the presentation was 43. Out of those 43, there was 12 children that were not from the Butch Dewey area. We had 4 that were from other playgrounds in the city that went to that playground. We had 4 from Jefferson Parish and 4 from St. Charles Parish. So yeah, it is correct that some of the kids in that number were actually from other places.
Just a clarification. Thank you.
And seeing no other requests to speak, I will close briefly. And I want to thank my fellow councilmen, Councilman Reno and Councilman Klein, who asked for an additional public meeting in connection with the deferral of this legislation, after the first reading. And that second public meeting, if we didn't already feel comfortable with the numbers and the direction, unfortunately, that things have gone, that pretty much resolved that issue. Over 1,000 notices were hand-delivered to homes. Hundreds of letters went out on more than one occasion for 2 separate meetings. And yet, through all of that, the response yielded, by our count, roughly 11 families from the Butch Dewey area that attended those meetings. It was not due to lack of notice. It was not due. This was advertised. This was publicized over the course of more than a month. And candidly, this has been up for discussion for about 18 months now. And we also relied on Councilman Segura, who reported to us that, frankly, the response he got during that time was minimal at best. And this is not something. On one hand, I'm certainly excited about the opportunity to bring in new families and to generate some activity in this neighborhood. It is still with a heavy heart, because make no mistake about it, of the 11 families you saw from Butch Dewey there, you definitely saw passion. You definitely saw dedication to that playground. And in no way can I ignore that or minimize that in any way. And I certainly hope and pray that those individuals, albeit few, are willing and able to take that same passion to the playground where their kid will play now and be welcomed with open arms. And if they're not, then we need to be involved and address that directly. Because these are the kind of people that we want involved in our recreation department, and we want to be able to have a home where they can bring their kid for baseball, basketball, football, you name it, or tiddlywinks, whatever it is, and know that that's where their kid's going to play all year round. And so we hope that the benefit of that will outweigh the temporary negative they may feel right now. In terms of the long-term future, I do believe this is great for the community around it. When people pass a playground and see the lights off, that's not good for that community. People want to see, lawn chairs. They want to smell popcorn when they pass a playground. They want to see activity. And I believe this is an opportunity to do that for that community and provide a benefit to the citizens of Kenner as a whole. So with that, I want to thank my fellow councilmen who do support, and Councilman Carroll as well, for your comments as well. And I'm asking all of you, please support us in this endeavor. Thank you. At this time, motion by Councilman Impastato, seconded by Councilman DeFrances. Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 5-1. Councilmember Carroll is opposed.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution ratifying the reappointment of David A. Richardson to the City of Kenner Civil Service Board in accordance with Section 8.02A7 of the Charter of the City of Kenner.
Motion by Councilman Brennan, seconded by Councilman Klein. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 13B is a resolution calling a public hearing on April 7th, 2016, to determine whether the structures located at 3503 Colorado Avenue, Kenner, Louisiana, shall be abated by repair, rehabilitation, demolition, or removal.
Motion by Councilman Reno, seconded by Councilman Klein. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 13C is a resolution in support of extending the sunset provision of the Louisiana Tax-Free Shopping Program.
Motion by Councilman DeFrances, seconded by Councilman Reno. Councilman DeFrances, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Council President. I received a letter not long ago from Ms. Denise Thevenot, who is the Executive Director of the Louisiana Tax-Free Shopping. The City of Kenner has benefited enormously from this program, but every 4 years, this program has a sunset clause and it has to be renewed. And in order to be renewed on time, you have to do it a year in advance because it takes almost a year for it to be implemented. Therefore, at her request, I spoke to my fellow councilmen and explained why it was imperative that we move forward with this resolution, and we are going to forward the resolution should it pass. Am I not correct, Ms. Hall, to all of our elected, all our representatives from Jefferson Parish who represent us on the state level? Let me just go over a couple of important points that I think everyone needs to, of which I believe everyone needs to be aware. The City of Kenner benefited by over $600,000 from this program. Think about it, $600,000. That's how much we benefited. And we're talking about from the Esplanade Mall to Sylvester's, you name it. All of these businesses were able to profit from international shoppers who came to the City of Kenner and spent their dollars. And that amounted to over $600,000. And that's absolutely something that if we were not to take this step at this important time, we would lose for next year. And that amount was just in 2015. And every previous year, we had similar benefits. So again, I ask my fellow councilmen to be supportive of this resolution, and hopefully we'll do even better in 2016. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no further discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 13D is a resolution accepting the Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Environmental Audit Report for the period of January 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2015, and to inform the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality that the following actions were taken and additional actions will be taken by the City of Kenner.
Motion by Councilman Brennan, seconded by Councilman Carroll. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 11,998, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Golden Metals Incorporated in the amount of $12,249.80 for the purchase of metal and associated material for Buddy Lawson Gymnasium in accordance with bid number T16-2366 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman DeFrances. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 11,999, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Golden Metals Incorporated in the amount of $9,295.74 for the purchase of metal and associated material for Lincoln Manor Gymnasium in accordance with telephone bid number T16-2365 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Brennan. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Maricoli, would you, sir, could you please come up just for a couple of minutes? The 15A and 15B are both related to the same type of work for the project. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Maricoli for this because this is part of the long list that, if some people were here a couple of meetings ago, we were addressing piece by piece, bit by bit for the Lincoln Manor, Buddy Lawson, and Susan Park Playground and other playgrounds. So it is something that we recognize. It is something that the ambiance, like Councilman Impastato emphasized, that this is something that people like to see. They like to see the activity, but they also like to see structures that are well put together and well maintained. if you could, Mr. Maricoli, just, obviously a lot of people know Buddy Lawson, Woodward, and two of the older gym, but this is a distinction between what we are doing for Lincoln and Buddy Lawson that is a little bit different, but it involves all of what you're going to be doing in the future for the recreation facilities.
Okay, basically, a few months ago, y'all had approved the BP funds to be used towards the improvements of the gym facilities. This is part of that process. We are out to bid right now on the remaining gyms to be painted. While we were doing our inspections and things, we found that the metal on these two gyms, as well as Woodward Gym, which was passed a few weeks ago, was in a condition of where painting would not solve some of the issues that they had, that the metal was deteriorating, and we were trying to find ways to either repair or replace that. Ultimately, what we're doing with this and what these bids are, this is for the material, for the metal coating or sheeting that's around the outside of the gym that we're going to replace at Woodward Gym is being done at this time, and Lincoln Manor and Buddy Lawson Gym will be following shortly after once this is approved, or hopefully this is approved, and then we wait the period, and then we'll do the order, and then the process will start. So in these gyms, we're replacing the metal covering around the outside of the facilities. In the remainder of the facilities, we're out to bid now, or actually we're about to rebid the painting or the coating of the gym facilities.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad you explained that, because a lot of people, I guess, were under the impression that at Lawson and Lincoln that they just were going to be painted over. I'm glad that the assessment was done, and it was proven that just to paint over it would not have given it the look, the newness that it required, that we had to replace the metal pieces, because Woodward and Buddy Lawson are two of the older gyms in the state of Kenner. So, thank you for that work, and we look forward to the improvements at all the facilities.
Yeah, and again, when we assessed all those, these three were by far in the worst shape with that. The remaining gyms are in really, metal-wise, are in good shape, and we believe that the coating is going to be sufficient and do the job that we're doing this, which will cover all the gyms in the city. So all of them will have a new facade in the upcoming months. So.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no further discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 12,000. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Brotherhood Way General Contractors, LLC, in the amount of $9,350 to furnish and install a CMU block wall at AP Clay Splash Park in accordance with letter bid number 16-1543 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Klein. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Rowe, please, if you could just give us the overall assessment and all of the stuff that are going on at AP Clay, not only with the restrooms, the splash parks, the building, and everything else. We would appreciate that.
Okay. We utilizing funding from the program income we get from the rental of the utilities with Entergy and CDBG monies. We've been able to do some long-needed improvements to the AP Clay complex. We first began with making some renovations to the restrooms. I've been working very closely with Mr. Maricoli, and the Recreation Department has been very helpful. The restrooms have been painted. The splash park and the splash pad have been painted. The grounds have been re-landscaped. The gazebo has been repainted. We're in the process of installing a block wall to improve the area that was once a concession stand and just make it more secure. And I think last year you're aware that we installed a security system there, and it's been just really helpful. And so we have some further improvements to the restroom and to the actual facility where the Head Start building is being rented. That's going to really bring new life to that complex.
Yeah, thank you. And, yeah, and this is, this particular area with the splash park, to say it by itself, is something that I think is kind of like a hidden jewel within the city
It
of Kenner.
really is, yes.
And, maybe we could do a little bit more giving information to other schools or playgrounds to be able to come out in the summertime. Are we on schedule to open this summer? I know there were some functional things going on, but are we going to be able to open?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Maricoli.
Thank you. I think the scheduled date is Memorial Day, if I'm not mistaken.
I appreciate it. And if you can send us, once we, nail that down as far as the opening date, if you
Right.
can send it to all of us so they can
We will.
facilitate that to
Absolutely.
different communities and organizations in their districts.
Right, and our public information officer, Mr. Ross, will help us put out some information about the opening so that the kids and the families are aware that the facility is available for them to have a good time. The water park is very nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Maricoli. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no further discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 12,001, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from LA Fabrication LLC in the amount of $5,000 for the repair of the stairs at the Annie Washington Center for transitional housing located at 625 Williams Boulevard in accordance with telephone bid number T15-2358.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Reno. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 12,002, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 1,000 DARE T-shirts at a cost of $7,110 from Creative Product Sourcing Incorporated, a sole source provider for the Kenner Police Department.
Motion by Councilman Klein, seconded by Councilman Brennan. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion. One more. Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0.
Okay.
Item 15F is summary ordinance number 12,003, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of the lowest responsive bid received from Subterranean Construction LLC, received on January 21st, 2016, under sealed bid number 15-6308, in the amount of $969,807 for the construction of drainage improvements to University City and Audubon Place subdivision areas, Phase 2, Millsaps Place, State Project Number H.010107, City of Kenner Project Number 2014-002B-RB.
Motion by Councilman Impastato, seconded by Councilman Brennan. I will open briefly. This is Phase 2 of a major drainage project, probably the second biggest drainage project in quite some time in the city. This is the result of the extensive expertise and work of Mr. Jose Gonzalez, our Public Works Director, who guided the city in obtaining these funds from the state of Louisiana. This is the next phase, which is in the University City area near Millsaps. Mr. Gonzalez, when is construction expected to begin?
Now that this ordinance, will be adopted, I presume, we will probably be entering into a contract with a contractor within the next 30 days. So therefore, construction will probably start in early May.
Okay, thank you. And for anyone who might be watching, we are going to send a message out to the people in that area for a neighborhood meeting that we will have so that everyone is aware of what the process for construction will be and any traffic-related issues that may affect them as a result of this. But this is a tremendous drainage project that will have a significant impact on reducing the risk of flooding to this area. So thank you for your work, and I'd ask all of my fellow councilmen to support this. Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 12,004, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Hard Rock Construction LLC in the amount of $209,856.90 for the Williams Boulevard, LA 49 sidewalk improvements East Side, Phase 2, West Napoleon Avenue to Veterans Boulevard in accordance with seal bid number 15-6309 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilman DeFrances, seconded by Councilman Impastato. Where's the time? Councilman Secure, you have the floor.
Thank you. Again, this is another good project that's been in the works for some time, and Mr. Gonzalez working with us to get this money for this Williams Boulevard beautification and allow for, obviously, a much easier and nicer way to traverse from Williams, along Williams, from Veterans to West Napoleon. There's a lot of sections. There is no sidewalk, or there's very little sidewalk. So having this now will certainly be a big plus. We've had a lot of conversation with the residents of Westminster Towers who like to walk to the various shopping places, so this will help them out to make it easier for them. And I'll yield to Mr. Gonzalez if he wanted to say anything about this project also.
The project is being financed by the RTA. 80% of the funds will come from the RTA. The city is to match this project with a 20% local match. It's phase 2 of a 3-phase project, and it calls for sidewalk improvements between West Napoleon and Vets. The next phase is under design right now. Hopefully, it will be bid within the next 6 months, and that would provide sidewalk improvements between West Metairie and West Napoleon.
Seeing no further discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15H is summary ordinance number 12,005, an ordinance approving a professional services agreement with Linfield, Hunter, and Junius Incorporated for resident inspection services in an amount not to exceed $155,000 for the Lake Trail Drive / Vintage Drive Drainage Pump Station, State Facility Planning and Control, project number 50-MF1-13-06, City of Kenner project number 2014-011-DR for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilman Reyno, seconded by Councilman Brennan. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15I is summary ordinance number 12,006, an ordinance approving an engineering agreement with IMC Consulting Engineers Incorporated to provide engineering services associated with the design and construction administration relating to the installation of properly sized generators, banking system for the City of Kenner's wastewater treatment plant number 3, and an amount not to exceed $206,649 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilman Klein, seconded by Councilman DeFrances. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15J is summary ordinance number 12,007, an ordinance approving Amendment 3 to the professional services agreement with Linfield, Hunter, and Junius Incorporated, which increases the maximum agreement amount by $6,684 for professional services related to humidity controls and lighting controls at the Pontchartrain Civic and Convention Center.
Motion by Councilman Reyno, seconded by Councilman Impastato. Seeing no discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 15K is summary ordinance number 12,008, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Ray Brothers Incorporated in an amount of $312,727 for Susan Park Gymnasium roof replacement in accordance with seal bid number 13-6163 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman DeFrances. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. Maricoli, just a couple of minutes. If, my entire term on the council, if anything that applies to Murphy's Law, it would be this project here because, it just was one thing after another that, you know, a lot of the people, a lot of the entire city that participates in the recreation department had to deal with the roof situation, and it was something that was, like I said, ongoing. And I'd like Mr. Maricola just to briefly to tell us a little bit why it has taken us so long to get to where we are today, but thank God that we are. Mr. Maricola.
Okay. The issue with this roof started in Katrina. We had a portion of the roof damaged in Katrina on the, I want to say, the west side of the gym. It was the west side of the gym for Katrina. The problem was, at that point, the roof was not damaged beyond 50%, so they would not, FEMA would not come in and assist with the roof at that time because of the damages didn't warrant the replacement value. However, the type of roof this was, there were certain situations where, you know, to fix one side, we would have to take a portion of the whole roof off and change it and do things. A couple storms later, we got hit from the opposite direction, and the east side of the roof was damaged. And again, it was not damaged over 50%. So we went through the process with FEMA in that situation where they, again, in that storm, would not pay for the entire replacement of the roof at that time because of the facts that it didn't meet the requirements of the over 50% damage. Through our attorneys, Mike Gaffney, that's representing the city, and through tireless negotiations and back and forth with FEMA and GOSEP and all the organizations involved in this, we believe we're at a point where we have a resolution. They're very confident that now they're finally going to write the PW and do everything, you know, in that manner. However, we in the recent windstorm or rainstorm that we had a couple weeks ago, the temporary repairs that we had further damage. We had some additional damage to it at that point. So upon talking to the administration, they located the money to front the money basically for the repairs before the FEMA, with the confidence that you know, we're in a position that we will be getting reimbursed for that. So through a lot of effort from a lot of different people, including the administration for stepping up and putting these funds up front, this will finally be addressed.
And thank you. And, you know, sometimes, you know, all the time that we all go out to the playground, people ask, you know, why is it taking so long? And I think sometimes people, you know, they wanted to get done, which is good, and realize it. They think on the level of their home where they make the decisions and based on their pocketbooks, where we have to base it on working with different entities to get the money to do this. And it's a process that is sometimes goes at a snail's pace, but we have to be sure that we are getting, you know, the proper work done, the money's right, the money's all right. Mr. Gaffney does a fantastic job. I'd like to thank the administration and you for just not giving up on this. And, you know, we are where we are right now. You know, everybody, thank God the work is going to get ready to get done. And when it's all said and done, we may need to get a minister or a priest over there just to say some kind of special prayer so we can get away all the evil stuff that's been going on that roof. But thanks again for all your support, and I'm sure the city and the residents of the Susan Park Veteran Heights area will appreciate it.
Now, with that being said, understand that this is going to be a total roof replacement.
Yes.
And some additional work inside to make sure that any future storms, the mitigation is done for future storms. So there will be a good portion of the time when this will be closed, because we will have to remove the basketball goals and the different things that go along with that. So I kind of want to make sure that the people know, you know, ahead of time that this is going to be in the works, that there'll be probably a good portion of the duration of the repair time that the gym will be closed.
Right, and as far as the schedule for that, obviously basketball season is when it's used the most for that. So the repair for this, how long do you estimate it's going to take for the complete, since we were talking about the complete roof?
I could definitely get the exact time length that we have in the contract. Unfortunately, for some reason, I did
Okay.
not bring that with me tonight.
Understood.
But there is going to be a spelled out time frame for the construction. Again, I just don't have it with
Right.
me at this time.
And, as long as we can schedule it, if we can, to not interfere with the next year's basketball season.
Well, believe me, that the intention is to get it done as quickly as possible.
Right.
So I can assure you that as soon as the law allows, we're going to be working on the contracts and the different things. During baseball season, most of this would take
Perfect.
place. You know, the city's attorney's office, I'm sure, will be absolutely tired of hearing from me for this contract to be moved forward so we can make sure we beat the time frame.
I bet you will. I bet they will, for sure. So, but thanks again, and we look forward to it. Keep our fingers crossed. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no further discussion, Councilman, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance approving a planned unit development for Stone Interiors New Orleans LLC for the development of a stone countertop, tile showroom, and fabrication facility, and Creative Graphics Incorporated, an industrial graving, sign award, and promotion company on Lot 1, Oakland Plantation Subdivision in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 16B is an ordinance amending the 2008, 2009, and 2011-2012 capital budgets to reallocate $90,000 from match for Loyola Drive and I-10 interchange and $10,000 from Veterans Boulevard resurfacing Loyola Drive to Virginia to resurfacing Loyola Drive northbound I-10 to 31st Street. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the award of fiscal year 2015 Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG, funding in the amount of $56,650 by the Louisiana Housing Corporation and amending the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget to allocate said funding for the Department of Community Development. Item 16D is an ordinance amending Chapter 15, Section 56A of the Kenner Code of Ordinances by adding a no parking sign between 815 Vouet Drive and 817 Vouet Drive, with the exact location of the signs to be determined by the Department of Public Works. Item 16E is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of tasers and taser accessories from Taser International Incorporated, a sole source provider, in the amount of $39,777.13 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16F is an ordinance authorizing the purchase and installation of 2 automated license plate recognition systems in the amount of $31,640.80, utilizing the State of Louisiana contract number 4400004772 with LA Tech LLC for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16G is an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,008 and approving the sale of lots 6 through 9 and lots 40 through 43, square 414, Highway Park Subdivision, Kenner Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, to Waffle House Incorporated for the sum of $350,000 and providing for related matters. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
Councilman DeFrances. Councilman DeFrances, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Actually, I was going to ask someone else to do it, but unfortunately, the gentleman had a 911 call and could not be here. All About the Kids Fest benefits Fishing for Angels, Freedom Movement, Miracle Beauties Pageant, and Blanket Buddies and 4 Kids. It is an absolutely great fund that works with a lot of our children who have special needs. It will be held on April the 3rd, 2016, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. The location will be the camp. That's at 2317 Hickory Avenue in River Ridge. If you buy a ticket ahead of time, it's $25. At the door, it's $30. They have fishing tournaments for our special needs kids. They have craft tents. They'll have free kid raffles. They'll have live music with 2 live bands. They'll have 50-50 raffles and a silent auction. They'll have a jambalaya cook-off. They'll have a fishing tournament. There are all kinds of events that they are doing in order to benefit our kids who we want to make sure are not forgotten. So if you have any, if you're interested in supporting this cause, please, you can visit their Facebook page under All About the Kids Fest. Thank you so much, and we hope you'll participate.
Councilman Reyno will be one of the chefs, so if you need any...
Well, thank you, Councilman Reyno.
Shouldn't need any more motivation than that. Seeing no other request, Madam Clerk, we can proceed.
Yes, sir. Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none tonight. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
We have three. Mr. Morella, please.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 44 years. I want to close on an issue that was the topic of much discussion in here over the course of the last few council meetings. And I want to say it's my greatest wish that as a result of this discussion, that more unity people will be more unified, will create more unity and less divisiveness to all citizens and all communities. And I will debate anybody, anytime, anywhere on that issue. Now, getting to the next topic. I want to direct it's some comments that's going to lead to a question. I want to direct it to the two Councilors at Large and Councilman Klein. I want to respond to an article in the Times-Picayune yesterday. Out of all the malls in Jefferson Parish, the only one that posted a drop in sales tax was the Esplanade Mall, which over this past holiday season, which resulted in 9.3%. Also leads to my question. I'm getting reports from some of the businesses in the mall that the mall is for sale. And I'd like to know from either one of the two Councilors at Large or Councilman Klein if they have any information on that or if they may have heard anything to that effect. And
Before y'all respond, Mr. Morella, do you have anything else you'd wish to add?
that's all I have, ma'am.
Okay, so yield the remainder of your time.
I'll yield the remainder of my time,
Thank
yeah.
Councilman Franchise, you wish
Thank
to
you.
address him?
I will be happy to address it. I called Rod Vosfer directly. Rod Vosfer works for the Simon Group. He represents the entire southeast-southwest coast. And that was exactly the question because I had heard the same rumor. And there was a rumor that someone had approached the Simon Group about purchasing it. That did not go through. He said he has no knowledge whatsoever of it being for sale. I will tell you, Mr. Morello, I have already decided that I'm going to ask Mr. Vosfer the next time he's in this general area. I'd like to set up a meeting with him. I've spoken to him on the phone before, but I'd like to meet with him one-on-one. I've told you before that the problem is not Macy's, it's not Dillard's, it's not, the theater, and it's obviously not Target. They're doing fine. It is the rest of the mall that is the problem. And that's the reason why I want to visit with him directly, because it is the Simon Group who owns the rest of the mall, not the entities that I've mentioned. So please be assured that I am in the process of setting up a meeting with him. I will include the mayor if he's interested in meeting with Mr. Vosfer as well, and any of my other councilmen that would be interested. I will be happy to include them as well.
Thank you.
I will give you one other little bit of news, though. We were able to get Rouse's open, as you know, but that was by working together with the administration. We got them open on time. Small, minor problem was addressed. We took care of it. And one other thing, I am working also with Mr. Cooper, who manages the Pavilion Mall. I'm working with him as well to try to bring some more businesses in. And there's something hopeful coming up, so keep your fingers crossed. Thank you.
Councilman Klein, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to echo what Councilman DeFrancis said. We've investigated that, and there's no evidence that the mall is for sale. It's true that the mall's not doing as well as it did in the past, but I think generally speaking, the malls throughout the United States are not doing as well as they did in the past. We can't compare Esplanade Mall to Lakeside Mall because Lakeside is an exception. It's very unusual for malls to be doing as well as Lakeside is doing. We're trying to get new businesses in there as best we can. All the businesses around there, including the anchor stores, Target and Macy's and the restaurants, et cetera, around there, are all doing fine. So it's our hope to talk to the owners again and see if they can bring some new tenants into the mall. That's our goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Staggs?
Marty Staggs, 2024 Kentucky Avenue. I just wanted to come up here again one more time and say that I still do not think that this is in any way a good thing for my neighborhood, much less the city of Kenner, that, you know, talking that the people are gonna, it's gonna be a good environment with popcorn. And if we don't go sign our own kids up, we're definitely not gonna go watch somebody else eat popcorn and watch somebody else play baseball. So it in no way benefits us. And I guess another thing that I wanted to, everybody, it's a failure. This, closing this down is a failure of one project that, you know, and I don't, it doesn't sound like anybody sees it as such. And I think that some preparations should be made, because I think when this sports facility gets opened, a lot of kids are probably have parents with the money to go sign them up. It's probably a real attractive thing to a lot of kids. I think recreation is going to lose more kids to travel ball, and that leaves recreation ball in a real tough spot. I understand that travel ball's fine, and as long as the kids are playing, I mean, if they're paying, hey, it's even better, isn't it? But it does take away from a certain amount of neighborhood pride where, you know, you take your neighbor's trash out, or you pick something up that's in the middle of the street and you care about your neighborhood. I think you're taking away a big aspect of good community life. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Staggs. Councilman DeFrances, you have the floor.
Mr. Skaggs and I spoke earlier today, and I made a commitment to him, and I will tell you that I believe that there are others on this council that will honor that commitment as well. The children of Butch Dewey will not be forgotten. When I spoke to you on the phone, I told you that there was nothing at this point that we could do basically to keep Butch Dewey open as it was. But I also told you that your child and every other child from Butch Dewey is important to me. Having been a teacher for so many years and an administrator, I worked with kids all my life, and they're my heart. And I also told you if there's ever a time when you or any other parent feels that your children are being forgotten or not treated fairly, to please make sure you pick up that phone and call, and I promise you we will be there for you, and I mean that with my heart. So please take that to heart, that all you have to do is pick up the phone and tell me what's going on, and I'll be there for you to do everything I can to address the problem.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Stopenall?
First, I'd like to apologize because I was told that the council meeting started tonight at 6, so I got here considerably late from when you started.
Could you
And
give
I'm
us
not
your name and address first, sir?
DJ Stopenall, 2000 block of Delaware Avenue.
Sure.
I have 3 questions, okay, and I'll leave you all alone. I noticed Mayor Segura is no longer representative of District 2. Is District 2 going to go unrepresentative on all the votes as they did tonight in the future, or are we going to have somebody that's going to represent District 2 appointed, or how does that work?
I'll answer that. I'll answer that, but why don't you go ahead with the rest? I don't want
Okay.
to do that and interrupt your time.
Not a problem. I noticed there was some rezoning ordinances tonight. Did the rezoning of the 19 through 2200 blocks of Connecticut, Arizona, all of that area back up that the airport bought out, did that come up tonight? Because again, I was told that it was.
Council President, there were no rezoning ordinances on tonight's agenda, just a few re-subdivisions of land.
Thank you.
Okay, do you know when that's supposed to come up?
I would say the best thing to do is let's talk to Mr. Hebert afterwards, the planning director, who would have knowledge of any such things.
Okay.
Well, I thought you had a third question, sir.
That was it.
That was it?
That was all three.
Yeah, let me address your issue on the voting. The representation of District 2 and all the districts is governed by our city charter. So the current situation that we have is not by anyone's choice. It's just it's the way the charter is. Once the mayor's seat has been vacated, which it was when Mayor Yanni accepted his position as the parish president, by charter has dictated where we go from there. At that time, the person who has been elected as the council president or council chairman serves as the acting mayor when the mayor's is either absent or the seat has been vacated. Councilman Segura, who, as you know, represents District 2, was elected the council president effective January 1st. So at that point, he immediately assumed the mayor's duty. But by charter and by law, the District 2 seat is not deemed vacated because he is still the District 2 councilman. He has not vacated his seat, so he essentially wears two hats. However, by rule and by charter, as he sits as the acting mayor, he does not have a vote as the District 2 representative. So during that period where the mayor's seat is vacated, we will have at a maximum 6 votes on every issue that comes up. Does that?
So in other words, exactly what I said, District 2 will not have a voice in anything that comes up.
Well, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to say, I'd like to say something, and then I will yield to the person in question, Councilman Segura. But no, the truth, in terms of technical voting, I mean, yes, technically, District 2 will not vote on any issues while he is serving as the acting mayor. Likewise, starting July 1st, District 5 will not vote on those issues because at that point in time, I will be seated as the acting mayor. However, in terms of representation and a voice, I don't think that is correct because I can tell you in the last 2 months, Councilman Segura has continued to field issues and address issues for his district, and he coordinates with his colleagues up here so that legislatively we can address those issues on his behalf as well. But with that, I'll give the floor to him to further address your concern.
Thank you. And as Councilman Impostata just reiterated, that is correct. I still have to be the councilman for District 2 as well as acting mayor, so I still field all of the issues relative to my constituents in District 2 on a daily basis and address those issues on a daily basis. And then as legislation issues come up for discussion, I talk with each of y'all prior. And DJ, as you might have seen tonight, as things came up, I got to speak my piece and ask for support of the issue, or if I had an issue, then ask for them not to support it. So the district is represented fully. The fact that the vote is not exactly there doesn't mean that it's not represented.
And staff-wise as well, his staff is still in place, operating his office as the District 2 councilman as well.
No, and there was nothing against Mayor Segura. I just noticed tonight, as I was sitting here, that no District 2 vote was being cast.
Yeah, that is.
And I was just curious.
Yeah, okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Estopino. There are no other requests. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Carroll, do you wish to have the floor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to be brief that over the past couple of weeks, we've had a couple of meetings, one for the business community, one for the residents of Veteran Heights, Susan Park, and for the entire city of Kenner as it relates to the new North Terminal that the Louis Armstrong Airport will begin construction in sometime this month. I'd like to thank everybody involved, all of the council people that either came to one or both of the meetings, the police chief, particularly Miss Anna Lisa Kelly, who pretty much organized, did a fantastic job with the business community, getting the information out, letting them know what's going on, was at the meeting, fielded the questions, walked around with the microphone, the setup, and all of that, and also was at the meeting for the residents also. So it was a team effort. I think we will have other meetings as we move forward with this, as more information that we receive and be able to talk about. And I think it was a good meeting, both of them were, to be able to show the transparency from the city of New Orleans, the partnership with us, and we look forward to having meetings like this so everybody will know what's going on in our community in that little corridor from Williams all the way to Loyola and even to the Paris line, how it's going to affect our quality of life. So we look forward to the future. We'll be keeping everybody involved and informed. And again, thank everybody participation and support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.